Hello and welcome to That Tech Pod, where we discuss all things e-discovery, cybersecurity, data privacy, tech innovations. I'm Laura Milstein.
And I'm Kevin Albert.
And each week we bring on heavy hitters in the industry to help us break down these topics. And today, Kevin, who are we talking to?
Okay. Today we're talking to Raj Chandrasekar. Raj is the Chief Technology and Innovation Officer of Consilio, where he oversees their technology and innovation functions, merging development and engineering, infrastructure, security, product management, business intelligence, and corporate services functions. In his role, Raj frequently interfaces with clients to understand and accommodate processing, security, and uptime needs, and is also responsible for the day-to-day operations of their industry-leading e-discovery and legal industry software solution. Raj has over 25 years of experience in the field of software development and infrastructure management and has held technology leadership positions in various large corporations. Raj, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here, as always.
I'm so excited that you're here. You were on our show about, I think it was 2.5 years ago since you were on, and Kevin and I, we recorded with you in person. And I remember it was like a weird thing because we were like in hotels. Where do we go? It was fun though. I liked it. You had a good vest on. Right? Yeah, it was legal week.
Yeah, and we were trying to figure out a quiet place to do the recording, and I had to have somebody shepherd in because we wanted to record it in a hotel room, kind of. I remember that.
Yeah, good times. Was that what's the dealio, Consilio, or is that a different one?
No, that was a different one.
Damn.
That was falling in love with something along those lines because it was right around Valentine's Day.
Oh, yes. God, fall in love with you, Raj. I love it. Well, it's been a while and we're happy to have you back, which is always like the most fun. Whenever we bring someone back, there's a reason. So either you're incredible or your company's incredible. We'll let people listen and find out. Maybe it's both.
I'll take both. That sounds good to me.
I'll take both too. But well, back then, Gen AI was still this whole like, can we trust AI to help us situation? But today it feels like things have really shifted. It feels more like it's like, can AI really work for us? It's a kind of a different question and a different mindset of where we are. And my question is more of how much of that represents real progress and how much is just kind of buzzwords? Like, where do you stand on this?
I think it's a little bit of both, in my opinion. There is a lot of hype, right? I mean, we have been talking about AGI now for, 2 years, where it's going to be the next thing that's going to happen. But at the same time, there's also been a good amount of progress made as well. But folks are still, as I'm sure as you would know, Kevin, Laura, you guys, I mean, people are still trying to figure out what is the right ROI. A lot of people jumped in with both feet and head first into AI, and then suddenly found, oh my God, we're spending a lot of money. Where is the ROI? So you're seeing a lot of those questions coming up more and more. You're seeing that even with large organizations. I mean, what is that? $1.7 trillion of investments going in. Is that really, what does it really mean? And how does it benefit a corporation, right? So is there going to be value? Will there be value? Do I believe there will be value? The answer is an absolute yes. Is that going to be today? Is it going to be a year down the road, 3 years down the road? I don't know the answer to that. That's like looking into the proverbial looking glass and trying to figure out what it is. But progress is being made, I would say.
I mean, along those lines, if we go back to 2024 and we kind of go forward now, what do you think we got right about AI and what has completely surprised you in the last, let's say, 2 years?
I think we have been the biggest thing that I think the overall everybody's been right about is the potential. I think where folks have been a little caught surprised, which is typical technology, I suppose. I think we drink our own Kool-Aid and get caught in the hype half the time. Is everybody was like, oh, in the next 2 years everything's going to change and software engineers are going to get fired and AI is going to take over the world, sort of a story. I don't think it has gone down the path that people, like I look at legal industry myself, right? An area that I live in and breathe every day. And I've been doing it for the last, almost 20 years now. I'm certainly no attorney, no lawyer, so claim no expertise, but at least I am in the ALSP space. We kind of look at large corpus of documents. And if you remember, I don't know whether it was, Kevin, if you remember this, like 6 months or 8 months back, and there was this whole Sasmageddon where Claude went and launched something and the whole market tanked and everybody went down and it's going to replace the world, right? I think a lot of that hype is still there, but folks are now starting to peel back. I'm like, maybe it is not panacea to world hunger kind of a story. So I think we have been wrong to some extent on adoption and how fast it's going to be. I mean, listen, I've heard document review is going to be disappear since 2011 when DAR came out. Nothing has disappeared.
Fair enough.
Volumes are growing, right?
That's right.
So I think we are still working through that.
Man, the day it disappears, you are just going to feel really silly, Raj.
Listen, it might, but maybe probably I might be retired by then, Laurent. You can see that guy that day said that probably, right?
We'll bring it back up. That episode. This will come back and it'll like
And it'll
blast
come back to
off.
haunt me, I'm sure, one
Yeah,
day. I'm
exactly.
sure
Yeah.
it will one day.
Well, as we're diving in here, I want to ask you, when people say AI agent, just hearing that, like I'm sure you're thinking something. That's why I intentionally paused because I want you to think. Yeah, because you say AI agent, and I know somebody's thinking, oh, chatbot. You're thinking it. You're thinking something. But what do you think people are getting wrong? I mean, is it just a chatbot, or is it something fundamentally different,
Listen,
better?
AI agents
You know?
are fundamentally different, right? A chatbot takes a single input and gives a single output and does a. I mean, listen, when chatbots first started coming out, right? I mean, it was a straight put in a query, run a NLP search, pull the documents or the embedding of those documents in those relevant areas, drop it into an LLM and generate RAG. That was the most simplest form of an answering bot. It's come a long ways, right? AI agents have memory now, right? They run loops, they can learn, they can understand the context of what was happening. So AI agents are fundamentally very different to your traditional single task chatbot. That is a fact. Not to sound pompous, and I really that's not my intent, but when you really think about
Oh,
it,
here we go.
here we
Here we
go,
go.
here we go. It's me in trouble. But truth be told, I still think majority of people don't understand it. I mean, they are still taking single task, calling an API and say, oh, that's an agent. Yes, an agent can call an API as well, can do a task as well. But the reality is, how does agent really do a multi-step process? Like today, the simplest example I can give you, I can think of is when you go into something like a Claude and ask a question, give me an overview. Claude is not taking that overview and running a search. It's basically trying to understand the context of what you are asking. It then tries to create a plan. It goes and says, hey, what are the tools that I have available, what that I can go do? It tries to figure it out and then goes back and pulls all that information together, summarizes, synthesizes, and provides it, right? Agents can operate independently. They can be autonomous, but there is still a lot of, I would call it, lack of understanding of the true purpose of an agent. And listen, it's like I remember 3 years back, or 2 years back, when I said if I got a penny for every time somebody said AI, I would have been pretty quickly a millionaire. Right now, agents feel like that to me, right? You ask anybody about anything now, it's like agentic. I'm like, what the hell does that really mean, right?
Yeah.
You still see a lot of that. You're
Thinking too small when you say a penny. You say $1, you'd be like, wow. But you'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm on my own island right now.
Exactly, I'm
Uh,
done.
I did just want to, though, as you were talking, do you remember like early 90s when the Word document had the little paperclip?
Uh-huh.
Clippy?
When Microsoft came out with the very famous or infamous Clippy,
Yeah,
I hear
Clippy.
you.
The
Clippy.
Clippy. Like, let's think about how long ago that was to where we are now. And the saddest thing to me is, as fast as technology changes and updates, Clippy was ahead of its time. What took them so long to come from Clippy to let's wait 1,000 years to get onto AI chatbots, like AI agents, all of these things? Like
I,
we had it, we just nobody knew.
yeah. I mean, Clippy was your little assistant who could go do things for you, right? But
I
everything
miss
that
him.
ran on your little computer over there, right? But again, think about. I'm going to show you my age, I suppose, if I say this. Think about a point. I remember long back when PCs first came out, and we had to run little Pac-Man on the computer, and it would run at 4.7 megahertz. And then when the PC-80 came in at 10 megahertz, and Laura's wondering, this old guy, we had to put a little turbo button to slow it down. And look at from where that's what, about 30 years to today. Compute has grown exponentially. Look at what's happening. But I think part of the answer to that, Laura, is also being people have not, I think to some extent, folks have underestimated the amount of compute that is needed to make these things work. And folks are investing more and more and more and genuinely have lost, I've not understood how much compute power we are going to need. And I think we're still investing in these massive giga centers, and to do the things that you need to do takes a lot of horsepower.
Yeah, if we're talking about AI agents, as they become more autonomous, where should humans remain firmly in the loop, no matter how good the technology gets?
Not every single day. I mean, you heard about, or I'm sure you read about one of those OpenAI agents jailbreaking and trying to go back and break into Hugging Face, right? So
sure.
you still need those controls. Like a lot of tasks can be done autonomously, but there are tasks, especially in areas of medical, right? I mean, listen, if you look at an invoice processing and an agent decide what needs to be done, whether it is to be paid or not, yeah, you can do that. What is the worst case you're going to do? You're going to, unless you create certain threshold controls and you pay, you're okay. But if you start having agents now starting to, they can, you get a scan and mammogram, and the agents can decide whether you have cancer or not, and autonomously start deciding what your treatment is going to look like. You don't want that to be happening. You do want a level of sanity check and control. So it's going to depend on what areas you want the agent to be autonomous, and how much autonomy do you want the agent to have. But most of the areas, at least in the near to medium term, I think is going to be where you do need that human in the middle. You do need to be in a position to validate and check and control. So I don't see that going away in the immediate future.
God, Raj. I always love my like pauses and my gaps because I have to like hear everything you're saying and then process. I want to argue against you. Like I want to be like, but I think it will go away in the near future, but I can't. Like you're absolutely right. Like I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, and I hate that, Raj.
I
You're
know,
so
right?
good. You're just so good. No, it's like every time I talk to you, I came on today and I was like, it's been like 2.5 years and I'm gonna stump him today. But I can't. Like I like to be a little argumentative and I like to be like, I'll get you wrong here, but you're never wrong, Raj. I'm always on your team.
I wouldn't say the never part. I just hope to be more right than wrong. Let's put it that way. It's like that little agentic thing, right? I just want that agent to be more right than wrong. Let's put it that
Yeah, that's
way.
that's fair. So the last time we were here, we spent a lot of time talking. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you remember that. And when I said the hotel room, it just sounds so weird. So if
It
you're listening
does,
and you're
which is
confused,
why we
it
have to make
wasn't
sure
weird.
that, yeah.
It was like
We
a
had like,
suite. We weren't like in the
Yeah,
bedroom
yeah,
part.
yeah,
We were in
yeah.
like the
But
front
we
part.
were in the
Exactly.
suite, but I remember our, I think it was Kelly. She was like, let me check with the HR, and I cannot have one woman
Exactly.
alone
I
with
was
two
like,
guys, so we have
we're
to make sure.
good. We're good. We're good.
That was so funny. I thought.
So funny. But we spent a lot of time talking about hallucinations at that time. And again, like so long ago, and they're still a huge thing. Hallucinations are still, I would say, like the biggest challenge. Or I don't know, do you think they are? I think they
Oh my
might
God,
be.
it's
Or do
so
you think
funny.
they're like replacing different problems? No,
I,
go,
I,
Raj, go,
I
tell
should have
me.
taken a bet that you were going to ask me this question today. I was like, I'm sure she's going to ask me this question. And it came to my mind because I don't know, I saw this yesterday, and it could have been an article from the past, but I read it yesterday. I shall not name anybody and get into legalese trouble over here. One of the big four consulting published an article with riddled with AI hallucinations, right? This is an article from yesterday. You see that all the time. People are, which is where governance comes into play, which is why even with agentic AI, the agent can come up with something that was not the intent, right? Which is why, Kevin, to your earlier question about validation and the human in the loop is so critical. And the same true with hallucinations. I mean, listen, we are in the legal space, right? Good enough is not good enough sometimes, right? There's always this thing of proportionality and how much you're doing and investing. But the last thing I need is to produce a document or write a brief. Listen, there are a lot of point solutions out there. There are a lot of people who are building single apps built on top of a frontier model, and all it does is one thing. And It says, oh, I can analyze these 5,000 documents of a deposition and write a brief. Yeah, you can, but no, you go submit that brief to the court, and then somebody has to sign the document. You better be darn sure that the system did not do something it was not supposed to do. And there's a very strong probability that it could, right? I've been talking about this to a number of people, including a gentleman who is in your space in publishing papers. And again, I don't name anyone. It goes back to a very simple thing. The system can analyze a document and tell you what is there. There is no way you know what is not there. So when you start having AI create stuff, you start have it create deposition or some briefs and filings and telling you summarization. There needs to be a level of governance and human validation, again, proportional to the overall situation. Otherwise, this is going to be trouble, right? And that is certainly going to be a problem. Now you can have one agent go back and validate the work of another agent, but it's like me kind of scoring my own homework kind of a situation over here, right? Laura, I know it's a long answer to a simple question, I suppose. Yes, AI hallucinations is 100%, in my opinion, a very real thing, and it can cause a lot of grief if one is not careful.
Awesome. I mean, a few weeks ago, we talked to Meredith Kildo. She was obviously the president of Consilio. And one of the things that she said really struck with me. She argued that basically successful AI adoption is more about the people and the process than the technology itself. But in my mind, she comes from an operational background. You come from technology, right? You're the CTO. Do you agree with her assessment? And do you think there are places where the technology is still the limiting factor?
Let me put in a little plug for Consilio here. It's very rare that you will find the ELT and Consilio disagree. We have all been here for a very long time, and that's one of the really good things is that we do disagree in private, but jokes apart, we are in sync in terms of where we are, and I 100% agree with Meredith. This is a conversation we have. Right now, the tech is the easy part. Anybody can be a programmer. Let's put it that way. Anybody who has never programmed can be a programmer right now. Vibe coding, no coding, low coding. Is the code any good? Who knows, right? So the tech is the easy part, and the tech. Listen, a lot of these companies are subsidizing the cost. The cost is going to go up, right? You cannot be getting Claude or OpenAI or God knows what for $20. At some point, the cost is going to start going up very soon. So today, right now, there is access to the technology. The technology is easy. Anybody can build a quick app, vibe code it, boom, go. But getting the process right, getting the controls right, getting the governance right, getting everybody trained to the product right, making sure you understand the business case and the use case scenarios right, and then making sure that the information that is coming back that you can stand behind it, I think is a lot more difficult. So if I was to put an effort ratio, I would say that tech is maybe 20, 30%. Process, procedures, controls, governance is more 70%. So yeah, the answer is yes. I do agree with Meredith. This is a conversation we have all the time. You see, our own product with Aurora. We could have launched. The product has been ready. We could have launched it like every software company and said, yeah, if you go, product is ready, go knock yourself out. But we have to eat our own dog food, right? Our guys use a platform, which means I need to get the process right and bring that service component into the equation. And
Yep.
The challenge is when people don't do that introduces a lot of risk.
Raj, this is what I like about you, truthfully. Not just that you and Meredith have a lot in common and agree, but it's how you guys work at your company. You're one of those companies that, to your point, you could just push a product out and you could say, this is great, it's out. But I think we see that too often. And then there's bugs. And you don't even realize half the time that you're the beta test to new products.
100%.
And
Yeah.
that's like the worst because there's always a client that suffers when that happens because they're excited. Oh, great, this product, but
Let's go
they
do
don't
it.
realize it's a beta test, it's not ready. And who gets hurt in that client. And it's just never good. So I actually love that you guys don't do that and that you take the time to say, we're going to wait to release this until we know this is something where you're not the beta test. We're the beta test. We're beta testing it. We're handling this. And then we're going to give this to you once all the kinks have been worked out. And don't get me wrong, in any and every software, things happen. There's a reason for updates. I mean, you have like Gmail. We all have a Gmail account somewhere.
Mhm.
If you don't, I'm confused and we should talk about it. but somewhere you have a Gmail account and Gmail updates all the time. You just don't realize that these things are happening because it's not affecting you when you refresh your email. It's happening in the back end. So yes, you're constantly making those changes, but I hate when it's a huge pet peeve of mine if you can't tell from this rant. I hate when companies are just releasing something to test on other people. It's totally different, and I love that you guys don't. I love that you guys step back and say, "Hey, now we're ready," and then go in with confidence. And that's why I think it's one of the reasons that, we're not biased here, but one of the reasons that being a little biased, we like you guys, is because of that. Because we've had a
Thank
lot of
you.
people on, they say all these things, but Kevin and I genuinely try to look into each company that we talk
Agreed.
to and each product, and we will test them. We've gotten like secret demos. That's one of my favorite things to do. Get a secret demo because you get to actually experiencing it from that side where they aren't, enough to be like, let's see it, but they don't know. And so you guys are 10 out of 10. Anyway, I'm done fangirling. I want to go back to AI
Appreciate that.
agents.
No, thank you so much. No, listen. I mean, again, going back, we have
Yeah.
my worst critics internally are my project managers and my data operations guys. We have 700 people, and we have not even had our clients come in and use it fully, right? That's
Yeah.
because we are getting 700 plus people use the product on a day-to-day basis. I'm using it in real life scenarios, in real matters, so that we know exactly how the product is working, what the kinks are.
Yeah.
Listen, again, legal. You cannot put a product out there. You put in a search term, and yeah, sometimes it comes back. Sometimes it comes back with a little different. You need to be able to answer those questions. So I appreciate what you said. I truly do. And people sometimes are in a rush to push things to production in front of a client. First is good, right is better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But just going back to AI agents, because I've been thinking about this. And when we go back in time and think about like the Jetsons, and then you actually just get like a Roomba, and I'm like, well, takes up less space, but it's definitely not as good as what was her name? Does anyone remember in the Jet Rosie?
Rosie.
Rosie. Thank you.
Yeah, the
Answered it
robot.
myself. Yeah. Yeah, like all these things. And so now I'm thinking with AI agents, do you think we're eventually going to get to a point where these AI agents are going to be reviewing the work of other AI agents? And if so, like, what is the oversight? Is it like the AI agent is the manager of the AI agents of the like, how does it work?
It's happening today. I can give you a real world example within
Yeah.
within our workflow. Classical example is document review, right? And when you typically do a document review manually, you have a first level reviewer, you have a second level reviewer, and then you have your outside counsel coming in and checking it. So you have multiple, I mean, not 100% of your work, but there's a level of QC that happens. There is validations that happen. And errors still get through. Don't get me wrong, because if somebody's out there looking at 800 documents a day and coding them, at some point of time, fatigue is going to set in and mistakes happen, right? With AI agents, I mean, when you do that process with just document review, fatigue doesn't set in, but the system might get something wrong in the process. So today, if you look at and this is something that I'm talking to my marketing about. I said, guys, we need to talk about it and tell the world what we are doing. We are one of those very few people who probably do this. Because what you can actually do is when you run a document, the first thing you want to do is you want to take your context. You want to do a heuristic sampling of the document. What is this document about? And then you want your agentic code to do that initial classification based on the case contact, compare it against the golden truth set, try and learn why this initial analysis doesn't compare with the golden truth set. And so there's an agentic workflow over there. There's learning that is happening out there. There is iterative looping that is out there, all of which is agentic in nature. But then also what happens is when one agent says this document is responsive, but I am 70% confident, you want another agent to go back to check if it is really agrees. But that agent could be using a higher model, right? So I could be running with one model, but a secondary agent could be running with a higher model with more intelligence and knowledge. Does take more compute, but you can absolutely have agents code other agents. The question is if both agents are running the same prompt and the same question, then that doesn't make any sense. But agents can do different things. You can have a QC agent that goes back and does an equivalent sampling analysis. And all of this can be orchestrated by a higher order process that actually does. And we actually, jokes apart, do that today. It is so review is not about let's take a document, let's put a prompt, let's do the embedding and figure out whether it is right or wrong. Yeah, you can do that. You're not going to get a very good quality output, but if you can use agentic AI where agents are coding other agents and learning, it's happening today.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
But I can hopefully I will get a better quality output, right? That's the ultimate goal. Is
No,
kind of
I
what it
say
is.
that and I'm like, I want to do it. I'm like, that sounds great. That's great.
No,
Just
you're
like,
absolutely right. You shouldn't do it just because you can do it, and that's a 100% true statement. I agree with you. But here is a real use case where it could help and it could add value. So that's that.
Do you think developers are becoming better engineers because they have AI assistants, or is there a risk that people are becoming like overly dependent on them and then might like lose some of the fundamentals?
I'm going to probably tell you something that everybody is going to call me an idiot for, or probably vehemently disagree with me. But this is an opinion that I do strongly believe. Learning cannot be written by book. Learning, a lot of it is by experience, right? Which is why you have co-ops in colleges that send you out to go work in the real world. I used to tell my kids before, if you want to go do your master's or your MBA, MBA being master's, I'm sorry, but wherever you're going, get a few years of real life work experience in an organization before you go do that, right? You get better at it. Whether it is an attorney where you're saying, oh, I'm going to use AI to do the work of a second year, third year analyst, and I'm going to get rid of all my second and third year or reduce them. How are you going to get senior people in the future? And the same applies to engineering and software. If your software engineers are not going to know the fun, it is more difficult to debug software than it is to write new code. I would say 10 times plus more difficult. I come from the world of writing software, going all the way back to 87 when I started programming, close to 40 years now. And you learn software standards, coding standards, understanding requirements, knowing how to debug your product, understanding workflows. If you're going to get AI to do that, and AI can, it still spits out spaghetti code. Don't get me wrong. I believe you cannot take a code that comes out and drop it into production, though there are a lot of software companies that will swear up and down that, yes, we can do that. They do. I'm not here to sit around and argue with people. I look at what's happening within our own organization. You can push out a prototype, a proof of concept very fast. No question, right? Like that. What would have taken 10 days, I could probably do it in a day or two and have a working prototype that I can get in front of my end users to get feedback. Can I take that and drop it into production and expect it to run at scale where I ingest about 10 million documents of, where I'm coding about 10 odd million documents a day? Hell no, right? But what it is also doing is when you don't have those junior engineers and when you don't have them learning by experience, what's going to happen 5 years down the road? Unless your AI is going to get to a point where you don't need those juniors and it's going to get so good, maybe it will. Maybe that's the answer. But there are a lot of people who argue with this. Cloud code is great. My son, he's all of 29 years old, and he tells me how doctors are going to disappear and XYZ is going to disappear because AI is going to take it all over, right? Maybe it will in 20 years from now, 10 years from now. But that's a concern, Kevin. I truly, genuinely have. What's going to happen 3-5 years down the road when you're not going to have those freshers, those juniors coming in and learning the engineering discipline of building anything, whether it's software or whatever industry you're in?
I can't agree more, Raj.
See,
that's a problem.
100%. I even talk to my son about it because he likes going through the tutorials and he likes really like tinkering. And I'm telling him like that's a really critical skill because your peers are probably using some of the shortcuts. And I like that he is willing to take the time and go through the Python class and go through some of these things. And he's like really trying to build it. And he's like, well, I want to understand what the AI is doing underneath the covers. And I was like, that curiosity is a thing that will separate you from your peers.
Listen, I was talking to someone 2 days back and again started coding and went into Google Sheets or whatnot and this and that and built stuff. And then I was like, they were like, this is not working and my prompt is not coming right. I said, why don't you go look at the code and just know? I don't know where the code is.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't know where the code is.
You're so right, Raj, though. It is true though, because everybody's like I like to read. I'm a reader. But it's different. If you're going on to Claude and you're typing something and you're reading it, okay, I see it. But if you don't put that into action, then
Action.
it's dangerous because to
Yeah,
your
true.
point, if I go to a doctor and I tell them my symptoms and they type in my symptoms in Claude and then Claude is like, "Oh, she's got cancer."
Yeah.
Then it's, and you don't sit there and you just say you have it. You're trusting that. You have to take what it says and think about, okay, what does that mean? And then put it into
100%.
action to actually do it, or you're actually making yourself stupider. Like 100%.
You just nailed
You,
it.
yes, and that's the reality of it is AI should be there to make things more efficient, to make things quicker. But if you use AI to replace your own life, then you no longer have a life. Then you're just going backwards.
I wish I could remember exactly where I read this, and this happened sometime back. There was a study that came out and saying what AI is doing in classrooms and schools is making us more dumber in a way. Our cognitive ability is actually decreasing because we are so dependent. Listen, the example I can give is long back. I come from a very old school of CLI, which is I type my commands before GUI came out. Just Sybase. You knew how to run a backup command. Today, most DB admins use SQL Management Studio and push three buttons to do a backup, and they don't know what happens behind the back. So the ability to that's just a very simple example of what happens, and that is now 100 times worse with AI. And this is something that we should think about, something that we should be careful about, because this could cause trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's my opinion. Again, it doesn't mean I'm right, but that's just
You're
how I
all,
think about it.
you know you're right, Raj. He's so humble. He's always right. He's always right. So, speaking of being right, you're an executive. This is not, I don't know why I said speaking of being right. I hope you're wrong on this one. But for other executives, for executives that are trying to separate signal from noise, they're trying to figure out, how should they decide whether a problem needs an AI agent versus just, traditional automation. They're in that position and they're in an executive level. They're not necessarily the nitty-gritty every day of doing this. How does that work? How do they make that decision? How do they decide whether it is this AI agent or if it is just regular automation?
That's a great question. First of all, I think from an exec perspective, lot of boards, lot of senior people are under tremendous amount of pressure to show usage of AI.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure to say, are you really using AI?
Yeah.
Because there is this belief that AI somehow is magically going to reduce cost. Slowly, people are coming around there and saying, maybe that might not be true, really, right? I remember the old days when cloud first came out, and you said when everything went to the cloud, you don't need ID people. That myth got busted at one point in time. Right now, it is like if you use AI agents, you can reduce your expense. Not 100%, but I think the exec should be more worried about, in my opinion, whether the work is getting done. Our CEO Andy talks about three pillars always. He says client experience, top and foremost, growth and operational efficiency. I think as long as we worry about operational efficiency and doing it the right way, whether an AI agent does it or whether it is standard RPA automation from olden days, you should not be really worried about it, right? A lot of people are going, the hammer is the tool I have, therefore everything is a nail, and I need to keep banging everything, even though I shouldn't be banging it. I sometimes, to me, if AI agents feels like that. Everybody like, I need to use an AI agent. Like, really? Why? For what joy? Because all you need is maybe a Python script that runs on a cron job might solve the problem better than trying to use an AI agent for this, right? So I don't think AI agent should be by the default solution. I think it should be, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And what is the most optimal way to solve the problem? I think should be the question, right? Technology for the sake of technology is not going to help anybody.
I like it and agreed 100%. Raj, you've been great. This has been an awesome pod. I'm really glad you came back on the show. Hopefully, it will not be another 2.5 years before you're on again.
I listen, man. Whenever you guys want to have me there, I always love talking to you too. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
The third time we got to pick a totally weird location just to throw off from the first
100%,
one.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Raj.
A pleasure being here. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me again.
So, Kevin, we just talked to Raj, and I like him. I always like him. Do you still like him?
I do. I think he's great. I love his personality. I love his enthusiasm. He's just a character, but also like he really knows his stuff, and you can tell his
Yep.
passion is real and legitimate.
Absolutely. And I always like it's a company that's been around for a while. Like Consilio is not a new name in the
Yeah,
industry by
that's
any
right.
means, but I like when you bring somebody on that has been there as well for a long time. It's not just I'm new at this company that's existed. It's you existed with this company, so we kind of get to see like the growth. I mean, the difference from and if you guys are listening, go back and listen to that episode if you're thinking, I don't remember, do it. It was something love. Kevin's right. It
Yeah, I
was
think it
a
was
Valentine's Day
Fall in
one.
Love with Concilio.
Fall in love with Consilio and like go back and fall in love again and then
Yeah,
listen to this because it's always interesting to kind of hear when we bring somebody back on. And we do it sometimes and it's always like after an extended period of time. And I think Raj is great and he does like we were really in the AI agents tell us
yeah,
zone today, but he was great, 10 out of 10. If you're interested in hearing more about Raj, if you want to learn more about Concealia, or if you just want to talk to us, Kevin, do we want to talk to anybody? Should
we
we keep?
do. Yeah, let's
Okay.
talk to
Okay.
some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, we do. We do. Thanks for. I was just kidding. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk to you. Reach out to us. Send us an email at contact@thattechpod.com. Head over to our website, www.thattechpod.com. Kevin loves social media. So, Kevin, do we have social media for
Yeah, I
that
mean,
podcast?
obviously Instagram, LinkedIn, those are the two
Do
big
we?
ones. I think we're still on X somewhere. I can't remember, but I think we're still out there.
Are we tweeting? Do they still call it tweeting or is it like Xing? Like, what
I
do
think
you?
people still call it Twitter. I mean, people still call it, people
But
still tweet.
like, would you tweet on X? Like, it
Yeah,
kind of
I think
sounds weird.
that's what people say.
I don't like it. But we're
Fine.
definitely on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn/that tech pod. Follow us. Let's do it. Let's get crazy. Yeah, Kevin, anything else our listeners can do?
Yeah, go to wherever you get your pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartMedia, and leave us a review, leave us a rating, let us know how we're doing. All that stuff helps us with the algorithms and gets us out there more, which is much appreciated. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.